So today we're going to be continuing with our study of algebra, and specifically we're moving on to simplifying algebraic expressions. So as per usual, I'm just going to be working down the left column so you guys can do the right columns for homework. So let's get started. For each of the following terms, write down the coefficient of the pronumeral. So first of all, what is a pronumeral? Well, a pronumeral is a letter or a symbol that represents a number or numbers. So in this case, x is going to be my pronumeral because it's a letter, x, that represents some other numbers. And what is a coefficient? Well, a coefficient is a number that is in front of my pronumeral that is multiplying by it. And what I mean by that is, if I write this another way, then 8x is the same as writing 8 times x. So here, if I don't have a symbol between a letter and a number, then I assume it's a times. So if I don't have a symbol between my coefficient and my pronumeral, it means it's times. So if here, because it's times, that means 8 is my coefficient. So I'll write 8 here. And here, in E, my pronumeral is B, so my coefficient is going to be 51. And here, my pronumeral is M, because that's the letter, and my coefficient is 15, so the answer is 15. So now we want to list the like terms in the following. So what are like terms? So like terms have the same pronumeral, So here my pronumeral is B because it's 2 times B. Here my pronumeral is A because it's 7 times A, and here it's A again because it's 5 times A. So now this has a pronumeral A and so does this. So they're like terms. But this 2B has a pronumeral of B, so we don't want it. So we're going to write 2A and 5A. Now there's a lot of reasons why we like terms, and we'll go on to those later on. So, but here, if we want to identify our like terms, we've got 5A, 2D, and 3A. So for this first part, my coefficient is 5 and my pronumeral is A. So I've got a pronumeral A here, and here I've got a pronumeral of D, because it's 2 times D, and here I have a pronumeral of A, because it's 3 times A. So here that is another pronumeral A. So my 5A and my 3A are like terms because they have the same pronumeral. So I've got 5A, 3A. And here 2D and 3C and 5C, well, these two terms have the same pronumeral C, so they're both like terms, and I don't want that 2D. So it's 3C and 5C. So now, how do I actually simplify algebraic expressions? And what I mean by algebraic expressions is any string of numbers and pronumerals. So here I've got y plus y. Well, they're like terms. I know that because the pronumeral of both is y, so it's y and y. So here, when I have like terms, I can add and subtract them and not have to worry too much. And that's why we like terms. So I've got my y here, because I'll end up with a y because I'm adding. And when I add and subtract like terms, I put my pronumeral down, and then I add the coefficients. So here, even though there's nothing written in front of this y, there's a little imaginary 1 right there. And same here. So those 1s are my coefficients. So I'm going to add them. So 1 plus 1 is 2. And I've got my pronumeral there. So here, all my terms have the same pronumeral, A. So they're all like terms because I've got A plus A plus A. So here, again, there's a little imaginary 1 written in front of all of these that we don't normally write. So I'm going to write my A first, and then I'm going to add my pronumerals coefficients. So I'm going to add all the coefficients of these pronumerals. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So I get 3A is my final response. And remember, That's the same as writing 3 times a from what we learned up here. So let's do one that actually has coefficients other than 1. So here I've got 2d plus 3d. I know these are like terms because they've both got the same pronumeral d. So now I write my d, and then I add my coefficients. So 2 plus 3, which is 5. So I end up with 5d, which is the same as 5 times d. So now, if I scroll down a little bit, I have some terms with a subtraction. And subtraction works the exact same way as addition when I'm using like terms. So here, I've got 18x and 3x, and I'm subtracting them. So they've got the same pronumerals, which means they're like terms, so I can add and subtract them just fine. So here, if I write my x, then I go 18, and now instead of doing the plus, I'm going to do minus 3. So that gives me 15. And same here, 17a minus 7a, well, they're both like terms, so I can subtract them. So I go 17a minus 7a, which is 10a. And from here, I have 9m minus m, so I can subtract them because they're like terms. So I write my m, and then I go 9 minus, remember there's that little imaginary 1, I go 9 minus 1, which is 8m, and that's the same as 8 times m. So now we're going to work with some multiplication. So we're going to simplify the following. So remember, I said that 8x is the same as 8 times x. So when I don't write a symbol in between, it's the same as a times. So if I want to simplify 5 times d, I'm going to do this in reverse. So I'm going to get rid of this multiply sign and just write 5d. So all I've done there is get rid of the multiply sign because I don't need it. Because if I write it like this, people know there's a times there. And same thing goes for here. Here I'm going to get rid of both these multiply signs. So I'm going to get 8xy. Now here, I'm going to get rid of the multiply signs, but you might be tempted to write x, y, 7. But I'm not going to write that because when we simplify these, we like to write all the numbers first so that they're easy to see and they're clear. Because just like when we're adding and subtracting, we use the coefficients a lot. So we like them to be out the front. So we go 7, x, y. And we also have our x and our y in alphabetical order because that's just the convention and it makes it easier to read for someone else. In particular, your teachers when they mark your homework or your tutors when they mark your homework. So now we want to write the following expressions in expanded form. So we're going to basically be doing the exact opposite of this. So rather than getting rid of multiplication signs, we're going to be adding them. So this is 3, and there's a times here, and then there's an a times again. So we're going to have 3 times a times b. So we're just adding the multiplications where they should be from this formula. So we have here 7, and there's a little times because there's no symbol there. And then here, m, and there's another little times because we're not writing a symbol. And then here there's another little times because there's no symbol. So whenever you don't see a symbol between coefficients and pronumerals, or pronumerals and pronumerals, assume that there's a times. So again here, 8 times a times b times c. So we're going to get 8 times a times b times c. And finally, 15 times x times y. 15 times x times y. So this has been simplifying algebraic expressions. What have we learned? We've learned what pronumerals and coefficients are. We've learned how to add and subtract like terms. And we've learned how to simplify like terms and write them in expanded form. So that'll be it for simplifying algebraic expressions. I hope to see you in the next lesson. And remember to do the rest of this page for homework.